Mother-in-law, since you're dirty, holding my daughter will cost you $1,000 each time. Being a farmer, you probably don't have that kind of money. When I went to the hospital after hearing Rosie, my eldest son's wife, had given birth, she said this to me. She insulted and mocked me for being a farmer, implying I was unclean. My anger boiled over. There had been disrespectful behavior before, but I tried to treat her equally as a relative, even if we didn't get along, because she was my son's wife. But now I've reached my limit. I was filled with disgust for Rosie, who disrespects and insults people because of their job. I decided that I would have nothing to do with Rosie ever again. That's what I resolved in my heart. Then we'll just give up, I said. My husband and I left the hospital without giving the baby gift we had brought. I'm Risa, 63 years old. Since marrying my husband, a farmer, we've worked together in agriculture. We married in our mid-20s and were blessed with 2 sons. However, being a farmer is not easy, as there are hardly any days off and work starts early in the morning. Even so, with the help of family and neighbors, I was able to raise my 2 sons. Both of our sons have grown up. Our eldest, Evan, landed a job at a major IT company. Our younger son, Tim, became an employee at the city hall. With the children grown up, I continued working as usual but always enjoyed leisure time, having tea with neighbors. Tim married Sharon, his classmate from the local area. A few years after getting a job, they built a house nearby, so they often visit us. However, Evan was all about his job and never mentioned marriage. Around the time he turned 30, I started to worry why he wasn't marrying, but he seemed to enjoy his work too much for me to say anything. Everything changed when Evan turned 35. He brought a woman home. This is Rosie. We're dating and planning to get married. I was surprised but secretly overjoyed hearing Evan say this, a bit shy. Rosie seemed charming and cute. She's only 28, younger than Evan, but these days age gap marriages aren't uncommon. I was happy Evan found someone wonderful, but Rosie's expression changed when we talked about work. What? Your parents are farmers? Yes, that's right. We mainly ship leafy vegetables like arugula, too. The veggies Dad and them grow are really tasty. We have some vegetables harvested this morning. Why don't you take them? I'd really like you to try them. Is that so? Rosie, who had been smiling until now, visibly grimaced. I wondered if I had said something offensive, but didn't dwell on it as Evan changed the topic. However, it was when Evan and the others were leaving. Oh, don't forget to take the vegetables. When handed to Rosie, she made an overtly disgusted face and muttered, "Dirty." What? I couldn't believe my ears. It's covered in soil. It's just been harvested. They're in a plastic bag so it won't dirty your car. Make sure to wash them well before cooking. I don't even feel like eating such dirty vegetables. I was shocked at Rosie's words. It's not that dirty, right? It's just a little soil. Why do I have to wash them? Why do I have to wash the soil? Are all people who work such lonely jobs as farming this unclean? I can't even think of them as the same humans. You don't need to go that far. I decided to marry Evan because he works at a big company and has a good income. To think his family is a bunch of farmers, it's the worst. Rosie was complaining. As I was about to respond to her insulting words about farmers, Evan, who had been getting the car out of the garage, came over. What's going on? Rosie was, It's nothing, Evan. Please take these vegetables they're offering. Rosie interrupted me with a loud voice. Evan, looking puzzled, took the vegetables from my hand. Thanks, Mom. I'll call you later about the wedding and stuff. Saying this, Evan went back to the car. Rosie followed him, but when Evan wasn't looking, she came closer to me. I have no intention of dealing with a farmer mother-in-law like you. Rosie whispered this so only I could hear. I couldn't believe Evan's partner judged and insulted people based on their job. Could their marriage really be okay? I became worried about Evan's marriage, but after that day, he was too busy with work to get in touch. I wanted to talk to him about Rosie but couldn't, leaving me with unresolved feelings. Eventually, Evan married Rosie. I suddenly asked if Rosie was the right choice, but Evan seemed so smitten that my warnings probably wouldn't be heard. Though Rosie and I didn't get along, I swallowed my concerns as long as Evan was happy with her. From then on, I avoided any interaction with Rosie. 2 months after Evan's wedding, A family gathering was planned for a meal. I contacted my sons, but Evan couldn't attend due to a business trip. Instead, Rosie would come alone. Rosie? Is she coming by herself? Herself? It's not far, and she said she'd be fine taking a taxi, so it should be okay. As the wife of the eldest son, she can't really skip it, right? If she's okay with it? Honestly, I was worried if she'd really come alone since she seemed to be avoiding our house, and my worries proved true on the morning of the event. I got a call from Rosie. I'm feeling under the weather today, so I can't make it. Is that so? Evan's on a business trip. Are you sure you'll be all right alone? I think I'll get better with some rest, so don't worry. I'm going to sleep now, so I'll hang up. She ended the call abruptly. I was a bit irritated by her brusque manner, though I understood being unwell. But there was no time to dwell on Rosie. I stopped thinking about it because I had to prepare the meal. Tim's wife Sharon helped out, and we smoothly managed the preparation and cleanup. Sharon, thank you as always. No problem at all. Is there anything else I can help with? It's all set now. Oh, I received a cake. Would you like some before you go? How about you, Tim? Really, that would be great. Tim nodded happily, and while I was preparing the cake and coffee, a call came from one of the relatives who had joined us earlier. Hello, is something wrong? No, I'm just shopping on my way home, but I saw someone who looks just like Rosie. She's having a good time with an unfamiliar man. I'll send you a picture. Can you take a look? After hanging up, they sent the picture. What's this? What's up? Wow, isn't this Rosie? I thought she was unwell. That's what I heard. The photo was clearly of Rosie. She was walking arm in arm with an unfamiliar man, looking nothing like someone who was sick. Could this be cheating? It's possible, but we can't be sure with just this. We need more evidence. I was too shocked to speak, not just for skipping the gathering with a lie, but the possibility of her cheating on Evan left me at a loss for what to do. Even if we confront her about cheating, she might just talk her way out of it. And it's hard to tell Evan, who's looking forward to the wedding, that he might be being cheated on. Yes, you're right. Though they were legally married, the wedding ceremony was scheduled 4 months later. Evan was busy, but making time to prepare a wonderful ceremony for Rosie. I couldn't bring myself to tell Evan that he might be being cheated on. If only we had solid evidence. With Tim's words, we all sighed. About half a year later, Rosie gave birth to a child. The pregnancy was discovered right after the infidelity suspicion arose. Despite the lingering doubts about her fidelity, I was genuinely happy about the birth of my first grandchild. After hearing about the birth, my husband and I went to the hospital. In the room, Rosie was holding the newborn. Congratulations on the birth. How are you feeling now? Still a bit tough, but not as bad as I thought. That's good to hear. Is Evan at work? He was here until a moment ago, but he left after getting a call from work. While saying this, Rosie lovingly stroked the baby. She's adorable. May I hold her? At my request, Rosie frowned. What? No way. Don't touch her, please. Why would you say that? Because it's dirty, right? Farmers have dirt under their nails, don't they? I can't let such hands touch my daughter. She looked at me and my husband as if we were filthy. If you really want to hold her, pay for it, mother-in-law. You're dirty, so holding my daughter is $1,000 each time. Being farmers, you probably don't have that kind of money. I exploded in anger at Rosie, who laughed mockingly. I had tried to treat her equally as a relative, even if we didn't get along because she was my son's wife. But now I've reached my limit. I was filled with disgust towards Rosie, who belittles people for their jobs and makes insulting remarks. And I decided that I would have nothing to do with Rosie ever again. That's what I resolved in my heart. Then I'll give up. Saying this, I left the hospital without giving the baby a gift. Half a year later, Tim and his wife welcomed a long-awaited grandchild, a lovely baby boy so adorable that everything he does seems precious. Thinking about working hard for my grandson, Rosie suddenly came to our house. Hey, is it true that you bought Sharon a stroller and baby clothes? She started yelling the moment she saw me, and I sighed. What's this about? Yes, we bought Sharon a stroller and clothes. But is there a problem? Why only buy for Sharon? You never buy anything for my daughter. That's because you called me dirty, didn't you? I thought you wouldn't want anything from Dirty farming me at that. Rosie's face twisted in frustration. But if I could get presents, it's different. I thought it was pointless to pretend to be nice since you're poor. But if I could get such nice things, I should have acted nicer, Rosie said, mixed with a sigh. Anyway, I'm surprised you could afford such a nice stroller with a farmer's income. It's a popular brand even among celebrities, right? It was expensive, but it's lightweight and easy to push, so I thought it was a good choice. And for your information, despite what you keep saying about being poor, we earn about $70,000 a year. There's no way a farmer can earn that much. I sighed again at Rosie, who knew nothing. Our farm is large, and we use machinery to harvest a lot of vegetables, making it profitable. Plus, our vegetables are recognized for their quality. So we sell them at a slightly higher price. We have contracts with restaurants nationwide and sell directly. So, even at higher prices, there are no leftovers, leading to a stable income. You know nothing about farming, yet you make such baseless statements. I have no intention of associating with you anymore, so could you please leave? Wait, it's unfair only to buy for Sharon. You didn't even give me a baby gift. I'm sorry, but I don't want to give a present to someone who calls me dirty. Besides, we always give Sharon gifts as a thank you for the help she provides. Sharon always participates in family gatherings and helps with household chores. She also happily helps me, someone who's not tech-savvy, with mobile phone operations. So it's a way of showing gratitude to Sharon, who's always there for us. It's not strange not to give gifts to Rosie, who does nothing but say rude things. Still not satisfied, Rosie began complaining about the unfairness in front of our house. Just as I was thinking it was becoming a nuisance to the neighborhood, Evan came out of the house. What are you doing making a scene here? What? Why is Evan here? I thought you were at work. I took the day off. I had something to ask Mom. Rosie stood gaping at the sudden appearance of Evan. But first, what's this about insulting my mom as dirty and then demanding gifts? Rosie starts to panic. How can you say such things? It's not like that. This is in front of Evan, who she had always tried to appear good to. Rosie started to panic. I just told mother-in-law to stop because she tried to touch me with dirty hands. Then she got mad and started being mean to me. That's awful, don't you think? You don't need to lie anymore. I can't trust you anymore, Rosie. Why? Why do you trust mother-in-law and not me? Because, Rosie, you've lied multiple times. You said you were too sick to attend the family gathering, but you were out having fun, right? And you told me you attended it. Rosie glared at me fiercely in response to Evan's words. Unfortunately, it wasn't me who told Evan. A relative who saw you shopping informed him. The relative who sent me the photo had emailed Evan without mentioning the infidelity, but stating that his wife was out having fun. It seemed he didn't know about the man, but his distrust grew knowing Rosie had lied. I heard about everything from Mom. You've been really disrespectful just because we're farmers. That's because farming is a job for the lowest of the low. It's a job for socially unfit people, and I didn't think any decent people were doing it. So, you insulted Mom and Dad without knowing them based on your own prejudices. I'm disappointed in you, Rose. I don't want to see you anymore, so could you please leave? At Evan's cold words, Rosie's face turned pale. Leave? You mean the apartment we're living in? Yes, I can't live with you anymore, so please leave. The divorce papers will be sent through a lawyer. I apologize for what I said to mother-in-law, but a divorce just for that is too much. Rosie clung to Evan, almost crying. It's not just that, is it? Evan spoke in a voice I'd never heard before. You recognize the man in this photo, don't you? Evan said this and showed Rosie the photo. It depicted Rosie with an unfamiliar man, the same person from the photo sent by a relative on the day of the family gathering. Why do you have this? Actually, I received messages from various people saying they saw you walking intimately with an unknown man, relatives, and neighbors. Why would they talk about me? People in the countryside love gossip. Everyone was worried Evan might be cheated on and quickly informed me. In small communities, news spreads fast, so Rosie being seen with an unknown man quickly became known. It looked suspicious, so I was advised to investigate. I hired a detective, and they found a high possibility of infidelity. At my words, Rosie, realizing she couldn't escape, glared at me with immense anger. This is why I hate the countryside. Cheating, what about it? It's Evan's fault for neglecting me. I was lonely. If you were lonely, you should have told me directly. I thought it would be a bother, but I won't cheat again. Please forgive me. Rosie started to cry. However, Evan's expression remained stern. You said you were lonely because I was always working, but this report says there was a relationship even before our marriage. What's that about? Are you still lying to deceive me? That's a lie. It's a false report. The person is someone you've been dating since college, right? You've broken up and gotten back together several times. We even know his name, so maybe it's better to stop lying. At this, Rosie's face turned pale, and she began to tremble. From the looks of the photos, you've been buying quite expensive items. I had no idea you were using my money for this. This was impulse buying due to stress. Even so, you've bought a lot of brand name products, spending money I worked hard to earn. And on top of that, cheating. I can't trust you anymore. Wait, if we divorce... Rosie clung to Evan while crying. I thought, if she was going to do this, she should have never cheated in the first place. It's too late now for such regrets. I'm sorry, but my mind is made up. I'll be filing for divorce and seeking compensation for the infidelity. Our daughter is still young and I can't work. How can I pay any compensation? What are you saying? That's not my concern. You betrayed me, so it's only fair. I'll consult a lawyer I know and let you know the amount later. Rosie seemed to realize that Evan would no longer be on her side. She stood up, her demeanor changing completely, looking furious. You've been saying whatever you want. Don't you have a heart? If you're going to talk about compensation and divorce, then pay child support. Can you pay $100,000 right now for her upbringing until she's 20? If you can't, I won't agree to the divorce. Rosie said this defiantly. Men have it easy. Even if you decide to leave me, you don't have to raise a child. At least fulfill your role as a father by paying child support. She probably said that thinking it would trouble Evan. Rosie crossed her arms, wearing a triumphant expression, but Evan just snorted at Rosie. Fine. I'll pay if the child is actually mine. Rosie's face tensed instantly. I felt something off since I first saw my daughter. As she grew, that feeling intensified. She doesn't look like me at all, does she? Indeed, seeing my granddaughter today after a long time, she didn't resemble Evan or Rosie. Having lighter pigmentation, her droopy large eyes seemed to resemble the man Rosie was with, not Evan. Today, seeing the face of the man you cheated with, I became certain she looks like him. And if you've been involved with him since before our marriage, it's possible the child is his. That's not true. She is your child, Evan. Then let's do a test. It'll make things clear. Wait, there's no need for that. Rosie, sweating and desperately trying to explain, wasn't believed by anyone. No, we should clarify this. If the test shows she's my child, I'll pay $100,000 in child support during the divorce. If she's not, I won't pay anything. That's outrageous. You can't test such a small newborn baby. It's fine. I know someone who has done tests on children. Realizing Evan was serious, Rosie turned pale and held her head. Regardless of the test results, I'm going through with the divorce, so please leave the house today. Wait, please listen to me one more time. Mother-in-law, help me. You love your granddaughter, right? I'll let you hold her as much as you want. Just forgive me. Rosie, giving up on Evan, listening, grabbed my hand and clung to me. But I had no intention of forgiving Rosie. After all the disrespect she showed, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to hold her. Please stay out of our lives. How can you say that? Ignoring Rosie's cries, Evan closed the front door. For a while, there was the sound of Rosie pounding on the door and yelling, but she reluctantly left when neighbors started to gather. Evan successfully divvied Rosie, and I was also able to cut ties with her. Later, a DNA test revealed that the child was not related to Evan at all. As a result, Rosie couldn't receive child support and instead had to pay compensation. Having been kicked out of the house, Rosie sought help from the man she cheated with, but he abandoned her, unwilling to take care of the child. With no one else to turn to, Rosie returned to her parents' home. I heard that her parents' home is in Philadelphia, in an area even more remote than around my house. In such a rural area, it seems the news of her returning home after cheating spread quickly. Somehow, even the details of her being cheated on and abandoned got out, and now she seems to be living quietly and uncomfortably. After the divorce, Evan focused even more on his work and got promoted. With no one to spend his money on, he generously took my husband and me on a trip, saying he had extra funds. Evan, being such a family-oriented person, I believe will surely make a wonderful husband and father in the future. I sincerely hope for beautiful new beginnings in Evan's life. Anything but divorce. Please, not that. Our daughter is still